Does anyone want to come off mute and let me know what this one means? What happens when there's a minus sign and I'm approaching the limit?
It goes from the left.
Yep, this right here means that we're approaching some value C from the left, right? So we're going this way. Would anyone like to share what happens as it has a plus sign on the exponent? Anyone want to come off mute or put it in the chat? What happens as I have a plus sign? I need the cricket noises, cricket. So hopefully you guys haven't forgot that this right here is from the right. Right, I'm coming from this way, right here, and it's coming from the right. Yeah, thank you, Jordan. And if I have, if I have just C and there's no exponent, that means what, guys?
From both sides.
Yeah, it's coming from both sides. So you find the limit as it comes from both sides. Left and right. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and begin.
Attendance survey.
So this is the first example, so I'll give you a couple seconds to write it down.
Oh, okay.
Oops, sorry about that.
Oh, these look like piecewise functions.
Yes, these are piecewise functions. So the first one says the limit as x approaches 1 with the minus exponent on the function. Okay. Okay. So this is where you gotta think. You gotta look at this minus this 1 right here, and it's talking about the exponent being a negative sign, so that is on the left. So which one of these piecewise functions, this one right here, or this one right here, is talking about the left? Well, let's make sense out of this. This one is saying x is less than 1. So x is less than 1. Is that to the left or is that to the right? We can make a number line if we want to. We can put a number line. This is 1. And we're picking all the x values that are less than 1. That means 0, -1, and 2, -2. So this is from the left. That must mean x is all the numbers bigger than 1. This is on the right. Does that make sense? This function is being evaluated to different parts, right? Okay, so when you identify what side is coming from, all you have to do now is substitute the 1 into the left-hand side. So I'm going to put a 1 inside here because that's my limit. That is my C value. So I'm going to go ahead and use this part right here that says from the left. X plus 6, so it's going to be 1 plus 6. So that is 7. That is my answer as my limit approaches from the left. Any questions on that, guys?
Oh, wait.
Okay. All right, let's try the next one. The limit as x approaches 1 from the plus exponent. So the plus exponent, we just said, is from the right. That means I'm going to use the second one, right? The second one says it's from the right. It's going to be this one. So I'm using x plus 9. Where my x is the value 1. So it's going to be 1 plus 9. That is 10. That is from the right. Any questions so far? Okay. The next one says, whoa. Okay, the next one says.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
For the first one, why'd you use a positive one?
The limit itself is 1. The little limit that they want me to
Oh, okay.
use, they're all here. They're all 1. It's a good
Okay,
question,
thank you.
Trey. Okay. Any other questions, guys? No. The limit, the next part, this part right here says the limit as x approaches 1 is what? Well, this one doesn't have any exponent, so that means from both sides, right? Both. So on the left, we had that it was this, right? On the left, and on the right, we said that it had this. So what can we say about the limit when the left is not equal to right? It's not equal to the right. Because one of them was 7 and one of them was 10.
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Thank you. And I believe that was Daisy.
What?
The limit from the left was 7. The limit from the right was 10. So the answer was does not exist. You can write it out or you can put this. Either one is perfectly fine. Okay, last but not least, f of 1. Which one of these values, which one of these actually includes 1? Well, notice this right here is just open. And I know I wrote over it. This one right here has a little equal sign in the bottom. So which one includes the 1? Is it the x plus 6?
The bottom one.
Yeah, it's the
X
bottom
plus
one,
9.
x plus 9. So it's going to be x plus 9 actually includes because it has the little, this little symbol, right? The little Pac-Man stuff. So it's going to be x plus 9, which is 1 plus 9, which is 10. F of 1 is equal to 10. That is the answer here. Any questions so far?
Oh, wait. Give me a sec. So once it's just 10?
Yep. This was 7. This was 10. This one does not exist. And this was 10. Any questions, guys, before we go on?
No.
Okay.
What day is it today?
26, no? 27, sorry.
Okay. Oh my god, it's on my birthday.
Tomorrow? Sorry?
No, on the May 6th. Next
Nice.
week.
Nice.
I'm gonna be old.
Okay. Let's go ahead and try the next one. The limit. Oh, I'll give you a couple seconds to write it out. And for the homework, guys, I'll just ask you like one of these, like one of the functions, and then I'll give you the piecewise function. I won't make you do it long.
Wait. Tense. Limit. F of x. Okay.
So the first thing I like to do, guys, is I like to identify which one of these is left side, which one is the right hand side. So if I'm looking for all the numbers that are less than 2. So what are all the numbers less than 2? Well, I like to make a number line, and I put my 2 right in the middle. For the top one, it says all the numbers less than 2. That's all the numbers smaller. So that is right here, right? These are all the numbers. X is less than 2. That must mean that all the numbers bigger than 2, x is greater than 2, is to the right. So this is left, and this would be right. So the first one is asking me, there is no exponent on the number, so it's asking from both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute the 2, right? The 2 value, the 2 that it's going to be the limit, into each x. So I'm going to need a little bit more space since This look like a little tougher. Okay.
Substitute 2 in, right?
Yeah, you substitute the n, 2n. So we're asking 2x squared plus 1. Is it equal to question mark? Negative 1/2 x plus 6. And I'm going to go ahead and substitute this 2 right here, x equals 2. So I'm going to get 2 squared plus 1 equals negative 1/2, 2 plus 6. So that is 4 plus 1, which is 5, equals negative 1/2 times 2. Oh, that's a tough one. Plus 6. Well, remember, it's just going to be negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1 equals 6. So, sorry. What did I do? Negative 1 plus 6, not equals 6. Sorry about that. So 5 equals negative 1 plus 6. Is that true?
Yes.
Yep. So I got that the limit in this case is just going to be 5 equals 5. So the limit right here is the same. So the limit is 5 from both sides. Okay. So the limit exists and it is 5. Let's go ahead and try the next one. It says, the next one says that the limit as x approaches 2 from the minus sign, right? The minus x1, that is the left. What happens as I put negative 2 on the left? Didn't we just solve for it? What happens is I put a 2 right here. That's 2 squared plus 1. That is 4 plus 1, which is 5, is the limit from the left.
Wouldn't they all just be 5?
Yep.
Because we already checked them on the first problem.
Yep, we already checked them on the first problem. So the limit as x approaches 2 from the plus sign, we had already done it. Right here, this was the right-hand side, and it said it was also 5. So, and we use that equation right here in case you need more. It's 5, right? F of 2. F of 2. What is f of 2? Well, let's look at our questions right here. And let me erase this so you guys can see it, then mess with it. It's asking which one of these, the top or the bottom, actually includes 2 at their value. You have option x is less than 2 and x is greater than 2. Do any of them actually talk about x equals 2?
No, so there's no answer.
Yeah, there is no answer. That does not exist. Because none of these had the little bar, right? The little equal sign on there, greater than or less than, right? So that does not exist. Does not exist. Any questions, guys, before I continue? No? You could ask it in the chat box or in the unmute yourself. Either one works. All right, guys, let's go ahead and step it up a notch. And I'll give you a couple seconds to write it down. And we're doing the same thing. The limit as x goes to 1, right? This is the first condition. And we're going to go ahead and check. So as x goes to 1, well, I like to go ahead and check what each one of these pieces is talking about. So the first one says when x is less than 1, so all the numbers less than 1, that's 0, -1, -2, stuff like that. So this is x less than 1, and that to me is the left. When x equals 1, well, that means exactly 1, right? It is 2. That's gonna help me. But when x squared minus 1 is greater than 1, x is greater than 1, that is the right. Okay? So far so good. So the first part says, what is the limit as I approach from both sides because there is nothing on my exponent. So let's go ahead and do that. As I approach the left-hand side, it says the function is negative x, and the right-hand side, it says x squared minus 1, right? This is the right, and this is the left. And all I have to do is substitute the value x equals 1. So if I do that here, it says negative whatever x is, which in this case is 1, is equal to 1 squared minus 1. So I got this negative 1 equals 1 squared minus 1. So negative 1 equals 0. So when the left does not equal the right, we should know that this does not exist. Any questions on that, guys? The next one says the limit as x approaches 1, right? From the next one says minus sign. So that's going to be from my left, right? Left. So it's going to be just a negative x because that's the equation from the left. So I'm going to substitute the values. Substitute x equals 1. So it's going to be negative x. So it's going to be negative 1. Dang, I can't write. So this is negative 1. And then the last one, I'm sorry, the second to last is limit as x approaches 1 from the right-hand side. And the function from the right is this one right here. So it's going to be x squared minus 1. So it's going to be 1 minus 1, which is 0. This is the part that really tricked my students last year. They're saying exactly at 1. But which one is talking exactly at x equals 1? Well, this one at x equals 2. So x would be 2. I'm sorry, f of x. When x equals 1, f of x is equal to 2. Okay. Any questions on that, guys? Sorry, I just saw that message stated 2 minus x. On which one? Okay, sorry, I just didn't see the messages till now. Any other questions, guys? I only got one last one. Yes, no questions, concerns, complaints? So the last one is talking about with removable discontinuities. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I always want you to do whenever you see something like this, guys, is factor it out, just like how you've been doing it before in the other homeworks. X minus 4, and this right here. This is difference of squares, so x and x. So we're looking for something that multiplies to negative 16, right? Something that multiplies to negative 16 and adds up to 0. Because there's no term in the middle. Hopefully you guys can see that it'll be 4 minus, right? And positive 4. Every time you guys see no term in the middle, it's because it has
The same number.
Yeah, it will be the same number. So hopefully you see that. Look at this right here, this top part and this bottom part. They're the same exact term, right? So we can go ahead and simplify. So our new expression is f of x is equal to whatever was left over, because these went ahead and simplified from our other lesson. X plus 4. And then this cannot be equal to 4. And then 7 when x equals 4. So this is our new piecewise function. Now we can go ahead and do the same as last time. Find the limit as x goes to 4 from both sides. So this really confused some students last year, but pretty much what it's saying, x equals 4, because if you would have put a 4 here at the beginning without factoring, you would have 0 over 0. And we don't know what that means yet, right? But from the left, right? From the, we can check that the both terms are not equal to each other. So whether it's the left or the right, we have x plus 4, that's, where is it? X plus 4, is it equal to 7? So it's going to be 4 plus 4, 6, whoa, that's 8. It's not equal to 7. Sorry about
But
that.
I don't get it. Oh wait. Okay. Oh, you use both.
Yeah,
Okay.
I still check both terms.
So
Okay.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, with the limit itself, it does not exist. I'm sorry, guys, I totally messed this up. Just kidding. When you are looking for both, sorry, I confused it. Rip, big rip. All right, my bad. So
Wait,
for this
I'm
one,
even paying.
I'm sorry, guys, I forgot what I was doing. I thought I was looking for F4. So once you factor it, I just got a flashback. Okay, once you factor it, you have to go ahead and look at this. You have to look at what parent function this is and what parent function this is.
Wait, so you just scratched everything I wrote?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Dang it. Okay.
Okay, so if we look at this x plus 4, what does that function remind you of? Hopefully you can remember the parent function. That's, yeah, and that would be linear. So it's going to be a linear, something like that. So if we went ahead and did something like that, it looks like that on our graph. And then at 4, the actual value at 4, that is 7 in height. So 7 in height, something like that. 7 in height. That's what we're seeing. So if we are going to go ahead and look from both sides, limit as x goes to both sides, we're going to go ahead and use the linear, right? Because this one's talking about everything except x equals 4. So it's going to be using this first term that says the leftover, which was x plus 4. So it's going to be 4 plus 4, which is 8. That is for both. So this one would be 8.
Wait, I'm confused.
So pretty much once you factored it, you went ahead and got left over with x plus 4, which was a linear. All I'm trying to say is that this one is for exactly x equals 4. This one is, the other term will be for everything else, left or right.
So use the other term because it's not exactly at 4.
Yes.
Okay.
So hopefully we can see that as we approach this value right here, it'll be 8, and that shows me that my graph is totally off. 8, because from the left, it is 8. So, and then from the right, as we approach this value, we just check that this will be also 8. And then if they were to ask you, hey, what is f of 4? We can tell them that that is 7. Because this told us that it's 7 when it's exactly 4. So pretty much what I want you to see, and this one I didn't put on the homework, but whenever you have something like this, you have to factor it out. So cross out stuff, factor it out, and then you get this new stuff. From that stuff, we're gonna go ahead and think about what is the parent function and stuff like that. But all I want you to know is that, hey, whatever has just the function itself, that's gonna help you find both left and right. The other one will just help you find exactly at 4, the exact height. So I tried drawing this function, but in reality, 7 was down here, not here. But ideally, it's just the parent function.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
So in the homework, guys, all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you for one of these terms. So let's say I ask you for both, or let's say I ask you for exactly at that value, and then the function. So it'll probably be the question limit as x approaches, I don't know, 1 from the right, and then I'll give you the function. The function is all of this stuff like that. So, and then it's multiple choice in this one. Any questions, guys? Other than that, guys, you guys are golden. I'm here if you need any help.